Inside this quaint house, nestled on a quiet street, a scene so grisly.
It was just so sickening.
So gruesome, it defies comprehension.
No one will believe this could happen, and yet it did.
A murder case that gripped a nation.
The entire country has reacted with horror.
Headlines around the world.
How would you describe this crime?
Very sad. Kind of makes you lose your faith in the good of humanity.
Jennifer O'Brien, a busy mom with 3 young boys, went to pick up her 5-year-old son Nathan from his grandparents' house.
He always wanted to hang out with Grandma or sleep over at Grandma's house, and they had a lot of fun together.
But when Jennifer arrives, she stumbles upon an odd scene. The front door is already open. As she walks in, she's hit first with the smell of death. And then, pools of blood everywhere, and no sign of her parents or son.
There was blood all over the beds, on the walls, on the floor. There were bloody footprints in the hallway. There was drag marks.
And the most heartbreaking sight, imprinted on a wall.
There was a little handprint on the way out, as if a little boy was being kind of dragged along and had put his hand against the wall to brace himself.
Bill Graveland of the Canadian Press says a hysterical Jennifer calls the cops, telling them, "I think my family's been killed."
She must have been terrified.
They told her to stay in her car with the door locked because they were afraid that there potentially might be someone still in the house.
Cops burst into the gruesome scene and feverishly search the house. But no bodies are found. The grandparents and little Nathan are missing.
I think police were hoping that they had been kidnapped and were being held somewhere.
At the scene, there is not one shred of DNA found, not one fingerprint from a potential killer. Cops immediately issue an Amber Alert in hopes of locating the family.
I know Grandma's holding you so tightly right now and taking care of you, and they are doing everything in their power to keep you safe.
What did police first think?
A lot of people thought it was some sort of a custody deal, and perhaps the grandparents had grabbed the little guy and taken off.
Hundreds of police search relentlessly, but with no sign of Nathan and his grandparents, they eventually circled back to the scene of the massacre, holding on to any sliver of hope to locate the 5-year-old alive.
They'd hoped that maybe he saw the violence and had hidden somewhere. So they went through all the closets, under the beds, anywhere that anyone could hide. He wasn't there.
Nathan O'Brien, an adorable, blonde, mop-topped boy, the spirited middle child of 3 brothers in the close-knit O'Brien clan.
This is like fairy tale paradise. Yeah, fairy tale. Got like every fairy tale imaginable.
He loved superheroes.
Nathan, how old are you today?
5.
Made friends wherever he went.
He'd go and knock on other kids' doors. We didn't know the parents, and get the kids all coming out to play, even though he didn't know them. And all of them turned out to be his best friends.
And was the apple of his grandparents' eyes.
My mom would show up at the door. Nathan would run, literally run to her and hug her and love her, and they were just so bonded.
The grandparents, Alvin and Kathy Lickness, were the glue that held the family together.
My mom was my best friend, and she was just a very caring, loving mother who made a home for all of us. My dad was an entrepreneur who was always trying to start up a business and be successful, and he was.
Alvin and Kathy were about to start a new chapter in their lives, retirement. On the day they disappeared, they were having an estate sale, downsizing after buying a new home in Edmonton.
They were planning on moving the next week. I mean, they were getting rid of all their extra belongings. They were going to spend their winters down in Mazatlan. They'd bought a condo down there.
But the vision of the couple enjoying their golden years basking in the warm Mexican sun quickly turned cold and dark.
The police went on for a couple of weeks where they were still hoping that they might find them held somewhere and that perhaps the injuries they'd sustained in the home weren't fatal.
But as the days ticked by, that hope dwindled.
They searched for a couple of weeks looking for them and never found any bodies.
And it became very obvious this was no abduction, more like a triple murder with a violent killer still on the loose.
Police had a number of news conferences, finally told us that a violent assault had happened in the home.
Up next, cops go on the hunt and soon discover chilling clues at a rural farm.
Pictures of men and women being restrained, perhaps killed, wearing adult diapers.
Macabre details straight out of a horror movie. Will the scary stash lead cops to the bodies of Nathan and his grandparents?